birthday. My name is Poo Bear, and this is the LSQ podcast.
Happy birthday is how Poo Bear greets everyone, every day. It's one of the ways he brings joy into the world, but the main way is through his incredible catalog of songs. Pop hits like Despacito Remix and multiple blockbusters for Justin Bieber, with whom he's collaborated extensively as a songwriter and producer, and tunes for Jill Scott and the Zac Brown Band and J Balvin, among many others. And it was just such a pleasure to get to speak with him about his entire career, because he started playing music and writing songs when he was still just a kid, at that point living in Atlanta, and a cousin of his who signed the groups 112 and Jagged Edge to their record deals suggested to a young Jason Boyd, before he called himself Poo Bear, that he could make some money writing for up-and-coming groups, and that was where it all began. So thank you for pressing play on episode 63 of the LSQ podcast with Poo Bear. I'm Jenny LSQ. Let's get into it. I want to ask before we start going, do people call you Jason, or do they call you Pooh?
You know what? Most people call me Poo Bear or Bear.
Yeah.
Or even Bear Poo. Or Jason. Like Jason is like when I would get in trouble, which wasn't that many times. But right now, I don't know, like I'm starting to feel more like Jason. Like every day I'm starting to feel more like Jason. It's strange. So whatever you feel comfortable with saying is what we'll go with.
Well, welcome, Poo Bear, Jason, Bear Poo, or Bear, or PB.
Right. Yeah, those are all cool.
You know, welcome to the LSQ podcast. Thank you so much for connecting with me to do this. It's awesome to meet you.
Yes, awesome to meet you.
And on this show, I focus with people on the kind of creative journey that they've been on since they were a kid. So, wow. I want to get there as well and talk about just, your first feelings of creativity just in life and that kind of stuff. But I want to begin by talking about some of the latest news, because I know your newest song about to enter the world is this song very close to your heart about your mother's passing. Tell me a bit about that tune, which, again, by the time this comes out, the song will also be in the world. But yeah, tell me a bit about that song and how it felt to write a song that was that personal.
Okay, so I would say that the day you left, actually, in all transparency, it was a poem that was written by my partner, Nabil Zaid. And he's a great poet. And for me, this was my first time collaborating with a poet. And I always had the idea, that I'm great with melodies and words. And so for me to actually, get to see a poem before my mom passed away, this was before my mom passed away. She passed away January 7th, rest in peace. And this was something that we started on in, I would say, as early as April of 2020. And the poem was done. And so what I did was I was allowed to come in with him and turn it into a song and create a hook and make a song and put melodies to it. And at that time, my mom was still living. And then it just, the timing was strange to where when she passed away, we were still going to release that song, but the meaning changed completely. It was no longer just about, different parts of relationships that people go through, with losing somebody that they love, but more so this big vague thing where it's like, wow, this compares to, I can relate this to my mom. I can relate this to, if I had a pet, that passed away or that ran away, a cat that ran away the day you left. So it's like, it's the beauty and the beauty in the lyric and the melody is it allows you to really connect and relate whatever scenario, resonates with you the most. And that's really how the song came about, and that was, for me, it's a new phase where I am venturing out, and I want to elevate, I want to grow. So yes, I partnered with Nabil, and we have a lot of records coming out that were poems that were transformed into beautiful pieces of art. So I'm also excited about, that and what's to come after that record.
Right. So this is driving toward your next album, Poo Bear, the artist. That'll be your second full length album as an artist, right?
Yeah, actually. So and my last album, my first project was, was birthday. Pooh Bear presents birthday music, and it wasn't. I sang on some of the songs, on a few of the songs, but they were really based around my friends that I had worked with, and I felt like they were great records that the world needed to hear. In the meantime, while they were working on their projects, and so it really wasn't. I can't. It was my album, but I wasn't like this time around. I'm singing on every song. I might not have a feature on this project coming out. It might just be, me singing. And so it's definitely, I could say that, yeah, my Pooh Bear Presents birthday music was my first album, but this is gonna be my first time really coming out with an album that I'm singing, and it's not based around, me hiding behind everybody. and
Amazing,
yeah,
amazing. So wait, so how close are you to having an album's worth of stuff?
we have maybe 2 or 3 albums.
Wow, yeah, yeah. So
Material.
it'll come out this year.
Definitely coming
Awesome.
out this year, and we're just putting out songs. I already put out a few projects in my past, like Beats to Break Up To, which it was a whole breakup album over break beats. Beats to Make Love To. I did one called Beats to Wake Up To that never came out. But then it shifted to birthday music. And now this is even like, I can't even say that there is a name, or I actually have another project that, I had a couple songs come out, Two Commas and another, but that project kind of froze during the pandemic. It will be unfrozen. It will be thawed out really soon. It's called Bars and Guitars. That's done. And then on top of that, The Day You Left is like a series of records that we're going to be releasing that will equal up to an album. So it's a lot of music going to be coming out, and just slowly in the right way and rolling it out the right way, so it won't be that aggressive and you won't get tired of me too soon.
No, no worries there. I mean, but you just seem like you're gonna get tired of you're a busy guy. Like, so let's just pause for a minute. Talk me through kind of your average day. What's the average like working day like for
um,
you?
the average working day for me before my recovery, just because I had some surgery, would be, I wake up, work out with my trainer for 2 hours, um, spend spend some moments with my kids, head to the studio around 1:32, and write, and with the goal to write 3 songs, maybe write 1 or 2 songs, maybe finish something that I started on, and then go make it home before my kids are asleep, so I can hang out with my kids and my wife, and spend time with them. And that's really, kind of like, and then and then you insert, travel to do the same thing, minus being able to see my kids in the physical, but by way of FaceTime.
But then also in the midst of writing somewhere between 1 and 3 songs a day,
Yeah.
you also have these other businesses that you're involved
Oh
with. You get
man.
and you invest in these different,
Yeah.
whether it's restaurants or whether it's a cannabis brand or whether it's a
Um,
water brand or weed and water and
yeah.
gaming.
Yeah. Everything. You know what? So now that you say that, I'm just a multitasker. So as I'm creating songs, I'm working, I am, approving, flavors, new flavors of water. I'm going back. I'm talking to Wonder Brett, who's, a partner in the cannabis world. And,
A legend in the cannabis world.
he's a
Yeah.
living legend in the Canada, and he just happened to be like one of my good friends for a long. Like I didn't, I invested in Brett. You know what I mean, as a human being, and he's just a brilliant. He's brilliant at what he does, and just we got stores opening up. But I'm really excited about them on Beverly and La Brea. A couple of stores opening up in LA, and on
Nice.
top of that, 3D technology, the holographic wall, the next generation is up and running downtown.
But
So that
what is the estimate? What give me an estimate? How many ventures
uh
would you estimate
there,
you have going at any one time?
right now, as we're actually speaking in real time, it's 1, 2, 3, 8.
Damn.
8 ventures that are moving forward out in the world, in the universe, and growing and,
That's awesome.
evolving into becoming IPOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take this opportunity to rewind, because something too I'm noticing about what you're talking about and what seems to be a trend is that, yeah, you when you see something that's when you see talent in a, outside, external to you, or something that's special,
Yes.
you want to make it your mission to help that get where you could see it going.
Yeah.
Right. So
Into
I'm
the
curious,
universe.
when did that start? Like, there was a you before that, right? There was a you
Yeah.
who just was creative.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the you before that, but then also the things like, how did you start to be this person who is so motivated by wanting to help something that you think is special?
I think it started when we can go back to when I was 8 and I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music or world music. And I would sneak and listen to Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You. And it inspired me. It made me feel something that I kind of really never felt before. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? I want to be a part of this. I want to make people feel the way this just made me feel. And I didn't know really in what way or fashion. I just knew I did. I wanted to be a part of it. And then tornado and everybody and going through all this homelessness starting over in Atlanta, and then saying, oh, and putting together kids groups, putting together kids in the neighborhood, coming up with choreography, figuring the parents looking at us finally, and seeing dollar signs. And then next thing you know, we're at Keith Sweat's house recording with Keith Sweat's road manager.
Wow. Wait, let's go back a little bit. Okay, so you when you relocated to Atlanta
Yeah,
and you went through
1990.
1990, and you went through a period of homelessness with your family.
Yeah, without 89 to 90 were homeless in New Haven, Connecticut. The tornado was like one of the first recorded tornadoes in Connecticut history. And then we just didn't have a place to live for a while. And then the church took up an offering one Sunday and gave my mom like $4,000, and we were able to move to Atlanta and struggle there.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so
And so that's when you started
we started
to
yeah, I started
get together other kids your age who like to sing
yeah,
as well.
me and my brother, yeah, when I would, yeah, and because I would see in Atlanta, it was such a time for like new talent, and it was like the new mecca. Like New York was always the mecca, and then Atlanta in '90 was like, whoa, the beginning of LaFace Records, the beginning of all these So Def, these massive labels that put out so many hits. So seeing that with Crisscross and Another Bad Creation, seeing those kids on Soul Train made me realize I wasn't too young to actually take this serious. And like, whoa, these kids, they're platinum and they're 8 years, 8, 9, 12, 13. So for me, it was like, yo, this could really happen. So seeing having those examples, it just allowed me to, just start putting together, one group, and then that turned into one of the parents saw us before like rehearsing, and they brought us to Keith Sweat's road manager's house. Next thing you know, we're recording, and now then they got us singing all these old school records, learning all the Delphonics and Temptations. Went through
Oh
so
wow.
many evolutions, so many groups.
So you're how old at this point?
At that point, I was 11.
Wow.
11
And what
years
were you
old.
thinking at Keith Sweat's,
I was just like, we're making it, like we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, for me, we weren't in the neighborhood anymore on the block dancing outside. Now we're in an actual like Keith Sweat was at that time he was like the Bobby Brown, or he was like the
Yeah.
Usher or somebody of that era where I was like, wow, we're at Keith Sweat's road manager. It wasn't even his house, it was his road manager's house. Lonnie and Louise Ferguson. And then it turned into, we recorded, and then the group just started to evolve, and one of the members, got in trouble, and then it turned into a 3-member group. Man, I met this other kid in middle school, and we were 12, and we ended up making a group called Young Harmony, and
Mhm.
his name was Young and I was Harmony. And We ended up performing at a place called Diamonds and Pearls, which was
Hmm.
every Thursday in Atlanta, where Monica, Usher, Outkast, we all performed in showcases every Thursday before anybody got record deals. Goody Mob, everybody that was somebody, and we ended up getting a deal with an independent company called Jungle Juice Records when we were
Hmm.
12, and I was in the seventh
Holy
grade.
shit.
Yeah, I was in the seventh grade. And look, in our advance, we got paid. We got paid in the form of a jean suit. I got one jean suit, a green jean suit, and my partner, Young, he got a gold jean suit, and we looked like the Sprite emblem together. We were gold and lime green. I'll never. And that was it. That was our whole. That was our advance. Our manager took our advance money, and that was like our first time getting ripped. My first time getting ripped off, and
Oh my gosh. But you were performing original songs in that?
yeah, we were
Yeah.
performing like one original song, and we were singing Jodeci, two songs,
Yeah.
two Jodeci songs. Like
Yeah.
Come and Talk to Me and Stay, and then we recorded. Then we would perform our one original song first time. It was called First Time.
Okay. And like, so yeah, so would you did you write together, and what was your sort of, when did you start writing? Was it about the writing at that point, or was it about the singing?
It was more honestly, it was more about the singing, but because we needed songs, I ended up writing, and then that group Young Harmony ended up evolving into a group called Friction, where we added two more guys. So I ended up engineering, writing, and producing all those songs for my group for Friction. And that's kind of where I got in the studio phase of like really learning how to engineer and really just learning how to produce and get finished product, like get a song, start from nothing and end up with a song. And the song, they were horrible, they sucked. They were god awful. But it's like I had to get that out. You have to get it out of your system, you know what I mean? And then, it's a part of the trial and error and going through it. And that allowed me to get to a place where, at the same time, my cousin discovered the groups 112 and Jagged Edge, that one talent show at high school, Tri Cities High School. And they went on, and he ended up taking them 112 to Bad Boy, and Jagged Edge went on to So Deaf with Jermaine. And 112 came out, and they were a success. They were a hit. And that's when my cousin came to me during my Friction years, and he was like, "Hey, you can make money writing songs." And I was 16 at this point, so I've been writing now, not professionally, but like writing whack music for like at least like 4 solid years at that point. No, it's just to be honest, because I want everybody to understand that, even at this point in my life, everything I write is not amazing. So it's, back then it's like more so getting it out of my system
Mm.
and learning, not even thinking there's something there, knowing that when I listen to that and I listen to stuff on the radio, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sound the same. But it was enough glimmer of light to never really give up on it. And then my cousin, put me with 112 when I turned 16. He was like, look, if they like you, maybe you can maybe they'll keep writing with you. And me and Deron Jones and Q ended up writing a song called Anywhere, which was like my first hit record, on the urban charts, the R&B charts.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of it. And then from there, I kept, and also we did a song called Love Is Such a Crazy Thing for Pink on her very first album, when she was really burgundy and she was singing R&B music.
So when did you start to feel like you were getting good? I mean, say,
um
yeah,
I
where you're like, okay,
definitely
I think I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, no, definitely the success of like just having a part in Anywhere, and being in high school and just being a part of that successful record. It definitely built my morale and my self-esteem to where I was like, I'm a professional writer now. I have a published song that went number 1 on the urban charts, and so that definitely allowed me to keep on going. And 112, they were really supportive of me. Even when I doubted myself, they gave me, they really they lifted my spirits and my self-esteem. And Deron Jones definitely, made me feel like I was definitely a lot better than I felt like I was at that time. So it they pushed me, and we ended up going on, to do. I went on tour with them. I carried their bags. They hired me to be like their bag carrier in 1998 and 99, yeah, 98 to 99. And while I was carrying their bags in Europe, I was writing songs, and then that's where a lot of the album Part 3 came from, which was Peaches and Cream, and Dance with Me, and all these different songs came on, were done on tour while I was carrying bags.
What did you like? What did you do from there to improve your craft, or like did you study what you were hearing on the radio and yeah?
To improve, so for me it was always about being around or learning from somebody who was just a master or just on another level than me. So it was always that bar that was like, all right, my music sound is cool, but I want it to sound like this. I want to be able to compare it to this. And that allowed me, even through, you know, um, like having success, still with 112 going on after, 112, and meeting producers, Dre and Vidal and Miami, and going to Philadelphia through this for the neo soul movement in 2001, working with Jill Scott and people. Like for me, it was like even going to that level. I respected Jill Scott so much, that it made me grow. It forced me to grow because I wanted to make music that she valued, and I wanted to be good enough in her eyes. And so working on records like My Petition and Rodeo, different Joe Scott, that was once again a new form of a stamp of approval for me. And I'm like, wow. And I could hear my sound maturing and growing, even though I still felt like it wasn't all the way there yet, and I was still learning, and I still hadn't really figured out what my formula was at that time. It took me years and years to figure out a formula, and then on top of that formula, be able to actually be blessed enough to hone in with an artist that can display my formula consistently over and over again, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
really unrealistic, and really and in reality impossible. So it took a years and years to get to a formula, and me working with different artists that were great, and where I was like, wow, I just learned more. I learned more, and it started getting clearer and clearer, and then a clear to where it was like, I get it, I got it, and then I understood the different variables in it. It wasn't
Right.
just me. The song is a song is everything, but if this variable and that variable and the label doesn't support it, if the people don't get behind it, if the radio doesn't get by, so many variables that make a hit song, it's like, oh whoa, this is like out of my hands. All I gotta do is just do my formula, and if it's meant to
Right.
be, if all the stars align, then it'll be a hit record.
Yeah, and of course, it's like a song could be a hit without being a hit. It could be a
Right.
lowercase h hit without being a capital H hit.
Yes.
But and I'm not going to ask you what your formula is, obviously, but I am curious what you when you say
Yeah,
formula,
you can ask me my formula because I'll share it. Like
because
Lewis
there's the
Hamilton can
song that
tell you
is
how to drive a car. Lewis
yeah,
Hamilton could be like, yo, I'll show you, like you gotta hold on, but then actually doing it, no.
right.
Can't do it. Nobody's gonna be able to, you know what I mean? So I love to share my formula.
What do you think is the thing that is your specialty?
My specialty is simple and effectiveness. So it has to be simple enough for a kid to hum along and sing along, but effective enough for a Harvard scholar or someone as brilliant as yourself to be stimulated mentally with a metaphor or with a new simile that's like, whoa, I would have never ever related those two. That makes so much sense. So that's my formula, is like the simplicity of these melodies that are for kids, but in those and within that, making sure that the notes that I choose move your emotions, the notes that your emotions can't deny. So when you hear it, it resonates with you. The frequencies hit you, and you're like, whoa, you can't explain it, but you're feeling something that you weren't feeling before you heard it. And then when it's saying something that's stimulating your mind, it's like, oh, I can relate to that. Oh, I would have never thought to put that way. And then you can remember the melody when you now you're singing it and you don't want to sing it. And now we have a hit record. It's a formula.
And when it's actually arriving to you wherever
Yeah,
it comes from, when it's
yeah.
entering you,
Mm.
what tends to be the first thing that you hear or the first thing that you see?
I I the first thing I have to see for myself in order to have a clear success, like a clear path of what I'm doing, is the concept. Because a lot of people just start writing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What's the main idea of this statement right now? Can't just baffle off some lyrics that sound good and rhyme. So my thing is the concept, and then because I am a walking melody and I have millions of melodies within me. Now, the most important part is the concept, because what can I put into this universe that doesn't exist? That's new merch. That's new everything. And then with my formula, with my melodies, and making sure your emotions can't deny it. Now we have something that can stick out on the charts, that can resonate, and when somebody hears it, they can't say, "Oh, that sounds just like such and such," or "Oh, that's the same song. This is the same song title. Like this is the same song." Like when you get past those barriers, it's like the concept. It starts with the concept, and it's for me, it's everything, and then from there, it's the hook. Um, it's the hook, and I know what I'm talking about because I have the concept, and I know when I write these verses, they need to support my hook. So it's a complete thought, and it's not a schizophrenic song. It's not just
Right.
pieces of
It's
song.
got to be difficult though if you have like this abundance of melodies and they're
Yeah,
kind of you could grab some of them at it.
yeah,
You're telling me your average day. I mean, you aim for 3 songs, but so that means I'm picturing there are a few cogent ideas that feel like on that day might be worth developing. And like if you how do you focus on the I mean, do you focus on one thing at a time or will you kind of be developing multiple ideas?
if I'm feeling stuff, like if I'm creating and I'm really inspired and I have the clear thought and the concept, I usually try to just knock it out and just nail it, because it's like, ultimately it'll end up being like a 35-minute thing, 38-minute thing, in that way. And that's when it's meant to be. That's when it's like,
That's
great
nothing.
example of that would be, it's already there and I'm just discovering it. Like I'm like,
Mm.
oh yeah, that's right. It does say that. So it's almost like it's written already, right? Somewhere in the universe is written and I'm discovering it, but it's already there.
What can you give me an example or two of songs of yours that came that easily?
I would say Where Are You Now came back easily. Justin Bieber's record was one of those, just in the, having the having the concept, having the concept from This Is Gonna Trip You Out. The concept of Where Are You Now for Bieber came from a TV series on VH1 called Where Are They Now? And it was
Mm.
talking about celebrities like back in the day. I don't know if you remember this show back in the day, but like for me, I'm always taking things and manipulating them to make them, personalize them and make them more relatable. So when that came from Where Are They Now to Where Are You Now, and then it turned into this whole new thing. Um, and that song came about. I would say I did that record was probably about a 25-30 minute record,
Holy shit. I mean, at this point when that happens, now you have enough experience, it must be like what that's like a really great day at work where you're not second guessing it. You're just like, shit, this is
Can I be honest with you? Even then, in doing that, I don't know. Like, I didn't know that song was
mm,
gonna go to win a Grammy and be Justin Bieber's comeback song. I
right.
didn't know that. I was really just trying to get out of the booth, just to be honest with you. I'll commit and I'm going to the studio. I'm gonna create some stuff. But then when I'm in there, I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna second. I'm not gonna like give it any less effort. But I really want to get out the booth. Like this, and this was back when I was really still using recording booths, and that would incentivize me to like get it done, and make sure I'm still sticking to the idea, sticking to the main idea. I'm not just writing anything. I'm sticking to the melody, and that's how that record really came
Right.
about.
But it's like, I feel like a lot of artists I talk to go through this evolution of when they're earlier into their catalog, a song that comes easily, they feel like either, oops, I must be ripping something off, or where they're like, no, that is it cheesy? Is it corny? Is there something too simple about it if it came that
Yes.
easily?
So I thought it was too simple. 1000%. After doing Where Are You Now, I thought it was too simple. Then after it became successful, that was when it concluded that whenever I feel like it's too simple, it's perfect. That was it. That was it. It was like thinking like, oh man, I'm just saying that. I could say more in the hook. And then once it connected and related and I got it and I saw him performing on stage and I saw everybody singing it, I'm like, oh, whenever I think it's not saying enough, it's perfect. And that's my check. Like when I'm like, this is a little too simple, it's probably perfect. That's where I'm at with it. It's like just go and get it out my system. There's no such thing as writer's block because I know that everything I write is not going to be amazing,
Yeah.
And so the writer's block comes in where it's like you start feeling like, well, this is not going to be good. It's like, so what? Get it out your system. Because the things I thought were okay and mediocre, songs like What Do You Mean, ended up selling, going 55 times platinum and, number one in every country. And if somebody asked me, would I had chose that song for when they were picking singles? No, I wouldn't. I would have been like, I did that in 25 minutes, and I wrote it just trying to get something done, and in it being second nature for me to make sure it's a concept, and I have my formula, which is second nature. I still wrote through it really fast. So doing that, I kind of didn't value it the way that when everybody heard it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing," and I'm like, "Really?"
We talked a little bit about collaborators and what draws you to certain collaborators. There are obviously Justin Bieber being a foremost example of artists you've worked with a ton or just many times over now. What is the thing you're looking for there? Because you've got an abundance of melodies you could
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's working with artists that just really genuinely have a passion to want to push music forward. Like they share the same goal as me. And on top of that, the way that when I get a chance to work with an artist, I believe in them 1,000,000%. So for me, for an artist to believe in me with all their heart, we win. It's like I feel like I'm no longer, I don't have to audition for you right now. Like if I'm in the studio with you and you don't really believe in me, I'm really auditioning for you to make you believe in me. So if I don't have to do that, if you remove that part and I just feel that energy, you just believe in me, like you love, equally the way I believe in you as an artist, then it's like this, we have this magic. And that's when I'm able to be my best, is because I have that, like, it's like, whoa, I don't want to let this person down now. I don't want to let myself down, but I don't want to let this person believes in me so much. I can't let them down. Like I have to be the best version of myself. So that means everything for me. Somebody might want to record one of my songs and they're like, yo, I want to cut this song. And I'm like, but do you believe in me? And now I ask the art. Now I'm at a place where I'm comfortable enough to ask the artist that, because I don't want to just do one song. I don't want my song to be the one song that everybody like that sticks out, and the rest of your project is like, what happened there? It's in the most humble way where it's like, no, if you believe in me and we're gonna work, let's do a body of work, or let's do enough songs that really make a difference, that really resonate. And when people hear them, they're like, yo, what is that? Or who is that? And then if we have that reaction and that response, then we win.
Yeah, and then you can go somewhere. Then it's
Go
like there's like
somewhere.
you can build on stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
they're
so
and they are where they are. So most artists you learn, it's like being a kid writing songs for Usher and writing songs for other people. You think they want what they already have, and they don't. They want what you would do. And I noticed the most songs I placed in my life was my own songs when I was like doing records for my album, because they already did they already did themselves. They want to do what's next, like what's the next sound. So that's something I wanted to add. You can go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
I was going to say, because it seems like also that's you're trying to do that as well. I mean, you obviously
Yes.
have expanded into, expanding genres in
Yeah.
more recent years and everything. And like, I want to hear a little bit about your kind of philosophy about approaching genres that are newer to you or that are less familiar to you,
Mm-hmm.
in the realm of like pop songcraft being kind of an absolute.
Right.
But yeah, sort of tell me about kind of your goals for exploring other genres.
I've been blessed enough and honored enough to do, reggae with, I have a lot of hits, slew of hits in Jamaica. I lived in Kingston, you know, I worked with the best DJs in the world, EDM DJs. So I've done, of course, pop, R&B was where I started with 112, and the soul and neo soul with Jill Scott and Glenn Lewis. And then there's, recently I tapped into the Japanese market with Skrillex, Sunny Skrill, aka Skrillex, with Utada, and we had a number one record with "Face My Fears," which was the theme song from Kingdom Come video game soundtrack, and that actually broke the charts in America, hit the Hot 100 for the first time since Pearl Harbor. A Japanese artist hit the Hot 100, and that was a big deal. So that was new, and then also working with artists like Timothy in Russia, in Moscow, and and working with artists, with African artists, like with Tiwa. It's these are the newer ventures. I've been blessed enough to work with Zach Brown band, and he took me on the road with him before COVID hit. Dan and Shay, we 10,000 Hours just won a Grammy for best country duo. So those were my goals. Were like country, like I wanted a country hit. I've been saying it. The Latin world, being a part of the biggest Latin song of all time, Despacito remix, was something that in 2015 I was like, yo, I really feel like I want to work with reggaeton artists. So Scooter Braun introduced me to J Balvin, and he brought me to Medellin, Colombia, and we worked on Energia, which that album won a Latin Grammy for Best Urban Album that year, and went on to work with the Despacito record and Daddy Yankee, Louis Fonzi, and then Jesse and Joy. So those were goals. Like every time I would see something, I would kind of be like, yo, I feel like music is going this direction. I want to work with this person, and I went into the Latin market not knowing I would be a part of the biggest Latin song of all time. That was not really. I just wanted to work with some reggaeton artists and broaden my catalog out. So I think the newer goals right now for me is it's not just, of course I would love to be able to break something in India. That's something that's always interest. I love their quarter tones, I love the melodies, I love the intricacy of the notes. And then but on top of that, just be able to break new music. Like I feel like I've been blessed to have success in so many genres. Now it's like I want to be a part of putting out the new frequencies from artists that don't exist. It's great to work with artists that are celebrities, but it's like can't say that anybody could just work with a celebrity and they're gonna write a hit, but the chances are really good. The odds are really good if somebody is already a successful artist. So creating, being a part of an artist or multiple projects from nothing to the world, from babies to the world accepting them, for me is like my newest goal. And with that music, being able to hit every genre, with that music, because my roster is it's very, very, it's very broad from, country pop to urban to even a new genre of rap that's based on all day trading and crypto. It's a whole new genre because we
Go
can't
on.
we can't because rap can't. You know how influential music is. You see the rap raising these kids. They live these lyrics. So it's like, why not give them something less? You can make money off your phone. You could day trade. You can have a Robinhood account and be 18 years old. Like you can. So it's just like a whole new. My thing is like creating these new genres within genres. There's hip hop. There's rap. It's just so much negative, so much drug talk, so much negative influence. It's like, all right, let's do this and make it sonically equally as cool and cooler, melodically cooler. But let's feed them. Let's give them something. Another way to make money where they don't have to look over their shoulders and like risk their freedom and be there and really create a career that could take care of their family. For me, the genres I've been blessed to do them and successfully do them. Now it's like putting out creating new genres within genres, with new, and that's based on concepts and themes and things that just haven't been talked about. That's what I'm really excited about. What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's the next everything? I love
Yeah.
that part too, staying ahead of it and being the trendsetter. And you know, so many years I wrote songs against the grain because I would have a hit here, a hit there, but not enough hit to where I could just be myself and write a song. And I'm blessed enough now where when I get hired or I choose to work with somebody, I don't have to write something that sounds like the radio. I could just write and it just sounds like the radio. It's like, but it took so many years, 15, 6, 17, 18 years to get to that place. It was like, I could just write a song, but now it's to a place where I hear so much of myself in songs, it makes my stomach, it bothers my stomach. And that's what pushes me to be in the studio, creating what's next, because I hear my influence and I'm like, whoa, I hear it in I hear it in the reggaeton world. I hear it in everywhere. I hear all my melodies. I'm like, that's me. Those are my melodies. It's just so I'm like, now what's next, Pooh Bear? What's the next melodies that everybody can bite from you? So that's constantly pushing me to, to create that next influence and make sure that, just when you think you got my sound down pat, it's new, it's different.
I absolutely loved getting to know Pooh Bear through that conversation and certainly hope our paths will cross again. And as he said, he'll have more songs on his own as an artist coming in the remaining months of this year. And that brings us to the end of episode 63 of LSQ. Thank you again for listening. The next episode, out in a few more weeks, is with Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra, and I'm also looking forward to sharing an episode with Lucy Dacus farther into the summer. You can reach me if you've got questions or feedback on Twitter and Instagram at JennyLSQ. Talk to you next time.